Hi there, and welcome to Celeb Tea. For years, Bravo audiences recognized Karen Huger as the undisputed Grand Dame of the Real Housewives of Potomac. She carried herself with a blend of poise, wit, and theatrical flair that made her one of the most captivating figures on the franchise. At reunions, she would stride in with her pearls gleaming and her chin held high, prepared to deliver long, dramatic speeches that reinforced her image as a woman untouchable in both reputation and self-confidence. Karen wasn't just another cast member. She was a character, an icon, and a force that seemed larger than life. Her presence on screen was magnetic. Even when she clashed with her fellow housewives, she managed to do so with a balance of shade and sophistication. Karen's signature lines, commanding demeanor, and occasional bloopers made her beloved by fans who delighted in her dual ability to entertain and intimidate. She cultivated the role of matriarch, diva, and comic relief all in one, earning the nickname Grand Dame, as if it were a title of nobility that she alone deserved. But as with many reality stars, the glamorous image came with cracks that were carefully concealed. Beneath the designer gowns and carefully rehearsed monologues lay years of personal chaos, financial difficulties, and strained relationships. For a time, Bravo's editing and Karen's charisma kept those troubles in the shadows. However, no carefully curated persona can withstand the weight of real-life consequences forever. By 2024, the title of Grand Dame had begun to sound less like a badge of honor and more like a cruel joke. Instead of being remembered for her wit, elegance, or even her fiery housewives feuds, Karen Huger's name became linked to scandal, police records, and a shocking tumble from grace that no amount of Bravo editing could soften. The unraveling of Karen's carefully constructed image came to a head in March 2024. In a moment that would redefine her public legacy, the reality star was involved in a drunk driving incident that left her reputation in shambles. The details read like a tabloid nightmare. Karen Huger, once the face of Potomac's high society on Bravo, crashed her black Maserati while under the influence in Potomac, Maryland. This wasn't a storyline crafted for reality TV. It was a genuine, dangerous lapse in judgment with real-world consequences. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Gone were the Bravo blog posts praising her sharp one-liners or over-the-top parties. In their place were mugshots plastered across mainstream media outlets and fan pages dissecting her every move in court. What had once been viewed as funny or eccentric behavior was now being reinterpreted through the lens of recklessness. For many fans, this was the moment the curtain fell. The Grand Dame wasn't just a flamboyant TV personality anymore. She was a woman facing the harsh reality of the law. The police report painted an unflattering picture. It documented the crash, the damage to her luxury vehicle, and the evidence of impaired driving. Prosecutors wasted no time, filing charges that included driving under the influence, negligent driving, and failure to control her car. The very Bravo star who once raised toasts with champagne flutes now sat in a courtroom as a defendant, her fate being discussed in the stark language of legal proceedings rather than the dramatic soundbites of a reunion special. The fallout reverberated far beyond the courtroom. Karen's co-stars, who usually thrived on throwing shade and commentary, grew unusually quiet. Some stayed silent out of loyalty, while others distanced themselves to avoid association with the scandal. For Bravo itself, the incident was a public relations disaster. Reality TV thrives on drama, but there is a fine line between entertaining conflict and dangerous behavior. Karen's DUI case was not the type of storyline that could be spun for laughs or ratings. It was a sobering reminder that these women's lives extend far beyond the cameras, with consequences that can't be edited away. As months dragged on and the legal process unfolded, the image of Karen Huger as the Grand Dame seemed to crumble piece by piece. Every headline about her case chipped away at the glamorous facade she had spent years building. Fans who once adored her now questioned whether the version of Karen they fell in love with ever truly existed. The dazzling pearls, the dramatic monologues, and the regal posture suddenly felt like costumes masking a much darker reality. The climax of this downfall arrived in December 2024 when the jury reached its verdict. Karen Huger was found guilty on multiple counts, including drunk driving and careless driving. The courtroom scene was worlds apart from Bravo's reunion stage. There were no witty one-liners, no dramatic walk-offs, and no producers to guide the narrative. There was only Karen Huger, stripped of the Grand Dame persona, hearing her fate as a convicted offender. It was the ultimate collision between television fantasy and reality, a fall from grace so dramatic that not even Bravo could script it. Karen Huger's conviction marked the end of an era, not just for her personal life, but also for how fans perceived the world of the Real Housewives of Potomac. For years, Karen embodied a character that Bravo promoted as larger than life, yet her downfall forced both viewers and producers to confront the limits of reality television. When the cameras shut off, the messy consequences couldn't be edited into a cliffhanger or wrapped neatly into a season finale. For Bravo, the scandal presented a dilemma. On one hand, Karen had long been a central figure, the anchor who carried storylines with her witty quips and dramatic presence. On the other hand, her legal troubles threatened to tarnish the brand. Unlike the playful arguments and extravagant parties that made for binge-worthy entertainment, a criminal conviction was harder to spin. Networks thrive on spectacle, but they also rely on relatability, and Karen's situation had crossed into territory that made even die-hard fans uncomfortable. The fan reaction was split. Some loyal viewers expressed sympathy, framing Karen's struggles as a reminder that everyone makes mistakes and that even housewives are human. Others, however, were far less forgiving. For them, the DUI was not just a lapse in judgment, but a reckless act that endangered lives. The same audience that once celebrated her as the Grand Dame now criticized her as irresponsible, selfish, and undeserving of the admiration she once commanded. Social media amplified both sides, creating a polarized debate over whether Karen should be given grace or permanently lose her place in Bravo's hierarchy. Yet perhaps the most tragic aspect of Karen Huger's downfall is how preventable it all seemed. The irony of her story lies in how carefully she constructed her image for television, an image built on wealth, class, and unshakable poise, only for it to collapse under the weight of real-world mistakes. For years, Karen's speeches and monologues gave the impression that she had life figured out, that she was a woman in control. The DUI, the trial, and the guilty verdict revealed the opposite. Behind the pearls and catchphrases was someone grappling with chaos she could no longer hide. Today, Karen's legacy remains complicated. She will always be remembered as one of the defining figures of the Real Housewives of Potomac, but her story has shifted from one of glamour to one of caution. Her rise and fall remind us that reality TV may amplify drama for entertainment, but it cannot shield its stars from reality itself.